Oh, the young guys are fighting. Who wants to tell them about the NBA draft lottery thing?
You are Locked On Kings, your daily Sacramento Kings podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. I am James Ham, Kings Insider for ESPN 1320, the Kings Beat, and of course, Locked On Kings. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. I've covered the Sacramento Kings for the last 16 seasons as a credentialed media member, also a member of the Pro Basketball Writers Association. Locked On Kings is part of Locked On Podcast Network, now the number one sports podcast network. Today's show is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Have your cake and drink it too. Birthday cake flavor is back. No fork needed. Vanilla cakey flavor, caffeinated kick, and no sugar. It's party time. Order now at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. All right, let's dive right into the show today. First and foremost, if you're watching here on YouTube, we'd love it if you hit the thumbs up. Oh, look what that just happened. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification button. Do all of that stuff. But today's show, we've got to win. So today we're going to finish with 6 quick thoughts, which is typical. Anytime the Sacramento Kings play, we dive into 6 quick thoughts. But we're also in the second block, we're going to talk about Precious Achiuwa and sort of what Precious has meant to this team and what he could mean to the Kings moving forward. But first, before we get to all of that, let's get to the young guys. The Sacramento Kings just beat the Dallas Mavericks 130-121 to pick up their 14th win of the season. This was a big win for the Kings, to be honest with you. They're on a long 5-game road trip. They beat a bad team in the Memphis Grizzlies a couple of days ago. They lost handily to the Houston Rockets yesterday. Then they bounce back and they get a nice quality win against a team in the Dallas Mavericks that are kind of caught in a very awkward place. The one difference between the Dallas Mavericks and the Sacramento Kings is that the Dallas Mavericks have Cooper Flag. Again, last year the Kings couldn't move up in the lottery, and the Dallas Mavericks did after dispatching the Kings in the play-in game. And they lucked out. They have a centerpiece to build around, and the Kings don't really have that player at this point, especially when Keegan Murray goes down and misses yet another game and is it sitting at like 22 games on the season. So what we saw tonight with Cooper Flag sitting was a Dallas Mavericks team that realistically is very similar to the Kings for the most part. Sort of a ragtag group. Najee Marshall going crazy, running over the Kings, pushing them around, shoving them on his way to the basket time and time again. I don't know why someone didn't just stand in and take a charge or flop or do something to stop sort of the Zion Williamson-esque like bull rush to the basket by Najee Marshall. But either way, the Kings found a way to win this game. And to be honest, they won it with the young guys. DeMar DeRozan didn't play that much, which is unusual because DeMar's usually sitting at around 30 plus minutes a night. Tonight, he plays just 25 minutes, scores, 7 points on 1 of 3 from the field and 5 of 6 from the free throw line. So realistically, of all the games that we've seen so far this season, this one felt like a truly focused young player game. And Russell Westbrook missed the night with some sort of ailment. To be honest with you, I can't remember what it was at this point. Malik Monk played some, but wasn't very good. And so when you're looking at, Domantas Sabonis and DeAndre Hunter and Keegan Murray and Zach LaVine all out, you're going to have some of these young guys step up. And I think that's exactly what we saw tonight. We're going to get to Precious Achiuwa a little bit later because I think Precious is a little different than the rest of this group. He's 26. He's been around the league a little bit. And, we can consider him a young player. He's literally younger than Daquan Plowden, who was tremendous in this game. But but at the same time, he kind of fits in a different category. So what I want to do is I want to focus on Max Reynaud's 22 points and 7 rebounds. And this is the 10th time in the last 12 games that Max Reynaud scored in double figures. Over that stretch, he's also averaging like 9.6, 9.7 rebounds per game. He's been absolutely tremendous. So to come out and put up 22 and 7, it's just he continues to amaze. He continues to get better. He's going to need a lot of work in the offseason on his defensive acumen and, reading defenses and, getting more physical, becoming a little more athletic, which the Kings will work with him on. But tonight, I thought he was really good. And to be honest with you, there was this stretch, during the long road trip where Max Reynaud looked like he got hit in the head with a shovel that is a rookie wall. And, he had a tough stretch. But outside of that stretch, he's been incredible for most of the season, especially with Domantas Sabonis playing a total of like 19 games. So, um, quality game for Max Reynaud, but that's not it. The Kings started Neat Clifford and they started Devin Carter in the backcourt. Neat Clifford goes for 13 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals. Um, he went 6 of 18 from the field, and I'm going to say this, and people are going to look at me strange, but I love it. Like, man, I need more games like this. I want you to hit a couple more shots. Go 8 of 18 from the field, go 9 of 18 from the field. But the fact that he took 18 shots to me was huge. He got downhill. He forced the action. He's really been working on sort of his moves inside the key where he's got a nice little fall away. He probably needs to add a floater to his game. He probably needs to improve as a 3-point shooter, and those things will come. But for right now, like 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, like that is absolutely spectacular. That's what you're looking for from a young player who's trying to take strides to get better and better. And also, like, look, he is going through the rookie wall like everyone else on this, all the young players on this team. But Clifford's also somebody who has played major minutes from the opening tip of this season. And what we're seeing is he continues to improve, continues to get better, and that's a good thing. Devin Carter, I've been tough on Devin Carter. If you've listened to me for any amount of time, whether it's on ESPN 1320 here or on the Kings Beat podcast, I've been hard on Devin because Devin makes it easy to be hard on him. He's a player that not only takes a lot of bad shots, he plays selfish, and just sort of the murmurs around the team have never been good. I know that they had conversations with him this week. I know that they sat him down and said, "Hey, look, this is what we're looking for. If you're going to play the point guard position, we need you to be unselfish. We need you to be part of the group. We need you to buy in 100%." And to be honest, I think this was the best game of Devin Carter's career. I don't care about the 1 or 2 games where he's had like big scoring nights. He had 15 points tonight. He had 6 rebounds. He had 5 assists and he had 4 steals. He just played within the offense. He played within himself. And he had a couple of jam putbacks late in the game were just tremendous. He looked for his teammates. He had a huge steal that led to an open opportunity for Daquan Plowden, who, again, we'll get to in just a sec. But Daquan Plowden flies in for this crazy hammer. All of that was created by Devin Carter. So hat tip to Devin Carter, who had again probably the best game of his career. And talk about the best game of his career, Daquan Plowden, 7 of 7 from the field, 19 points. And not only did he have 19 points, but the points were huge. He came up big in big moments, and can't say enough good about Daquan Plowden. Just like super, super impressed with Daquan. And like, look, this is what it's about. He's 27 years old, but this is a two-way player who's playing in like his first 25 NBA games here. And for him to show up and have such a huge impact off the bench was absolutely tremendous. So we can touch a little bit on some of the other players that played well tonight as well. I thought Killian Hayes probably had his best game since returning to the NBA, and so we'll get to that in a minute. But before we do, we're going to step aside and take a break. Also, when we come back, we're going to dive deeper into this situation that is Precious Achiuwa and what he all of a sudden has started to mean for the Sacramento Kings. This season's heating up, and DoorDash has a way to keep fans in their bag the whole way through. Whether you're just watching highlights, the tunnel fits, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes the entire season more fun because every player has their bag. With DoorDash, fans have one too. DoorDash keeps your snacks stocked, your gear fresh, and your watch party vibes absolutely on point. There are nights when your team stresses you out. Let DoorDash become your post-game therapy. Sometimes you just need dessert now. Like I need dessert right now. I'm really, really contemplating DoorDash right now. They do deliver all the way up to me in my neck of the woods, which is way out in the middle of nowhere. Absolutely love it. So from tip off to overtime, stay in your bag and order on DoorDash. Get snacks, drinks, gear, whatever gets you through the season delivered right to your door. DoorDash in your bag all season long. Thank you for making Locked On Kings your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. If you haven't already, go check out our new Everydayer Club. You get access to an ad-free audio feed on Locked On Kings, compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and every other major podcast app. And you get an invite to the members only Locked On Everydayers Club Discord server as well. It includes a group just chat just for listeners of this show. So go to the description below. You can click the Everydayers Club link or go to lockedonkings.supercast.com. All right. The Sacramento Kings walked into this season not knowing that it was going to be a season of injuries. They did not. You started having injuries coming right out of camp. Keegan Murray had a thumb issue right away. Domantas Sabonis went down right away and started having issues. I mean, it seems so long ago because we've been dealing with a meniscus tear, but there was a point where Domantas Sabonis would go up for a rebound with what looked like cracked ribs, and every single time someone would touch him, he would wince and really, really have a tough time. Well, the Kings started to realize very quickly that their roster depth wasn't good enough. They had a bunch of young players. Drew Eubanks was on the roster, but at the end of the day, they needed more front court depth. And Scott Perry dug deep into his bag here and came out with Precious Achiuwa. Precious didn't even sign until November. And I got to be honest with you, like I've covered the league for a long time, and there are players that you don't always get a lot you don't get to see them a lot. Especially covering a team that plays on the West Coast. Precious Achiuwa has played for the Miami Heat, the Toronto Raptors, and the New York Knicks. The Kings play each of those teams twice a year. And, again, a lot of those games, they're early games, they're different games, right? And also the Kings typically don't travel well. So a lot of times they get beat up by teams in New York or Miami or Toronto. And, again, I watched Precious play in college. I scouted him as going through the draft process. So like I knew who Precious Achiuwa was, but when he's sitting on the sidelines in November and he is not with an NBA team, that doesn't make any sense to me. And so the Kings went out, they found him, they brought him in, and I gotta be honest with you, he's been an absolute star for this team as a role player. This is not a good basketball team. We talk about it all the time. They're like 14 and 47 on the season, something like that. But I just think it was really bizarre to see a player who is a legitimate role player on almost any team. The versatility that he plays with. He He can play the 4 or the 5. He can also defend the 3, the 4, and the 5, and even some 2s. Like what when you go and you look in the photo library for Precious Achiuwa, you see him defending Kevin Durant, which is who he defended last night. And then you get to this game tonight, and here he is running around chasing Chris Middleton. Here he is trying to stop Najee Marshall, who's going crazy. He's a player that just his versatility on the court, especially as a defender, is crazy. And for the Kings this year, after tonight's game, he's averaging 8.1 points. He's averaging 5.8 rebounds. He started 37 games for the Kings. There's been a couple of games where he was left out of the rotation. But overall, he's been one of the most consistent players for the Kings all season long. And by consistency, we're talking about a player who shows up every single day and he plays hard. He plays with physicality. He's long. He's athletic. He does not get pushed around. And so I think this is one of the biggest head scratchers I've seen. He's only 26 years old. And to me, this season, it started off on kind of a weird note because the Kings typically have a player like this in this spot. And that player the last like 3 or 4 years was Trey Lyles. He has stepped in and been everything that Trey Lyles was and maybe more. And I know that the Trey Bays out there are probably upset that I say that about Precious, but at the same time, just the consistency, the ability to play each and every single night. He's not as good a 3-point shooter as Trey Lyles, but right now, after tonight's 3 for 3 performance, he's shooting like 32.7% from three. And that's perfectly fine for a role player, big man, a 4 or 5 combo that can play, other positions as well. So I think if I'm Scott Perry, again, I'm looking at the age of this team. I'm looking at Keegan Murray and I'm trying to reset this roster back to, between like 20/22 to 26, 27 years old. I want to see Precious back on this team. I don't know how that will happen. Again, they signed him as an unrestricted free agent this year to a league minimum deal. And it seems to me it's way undervalued for what he brings to the table. But also, once you're a league minimum player in the NBA, it's very likely that you're going to struggle to get that big contract again. So I would not be at all surprised if you see the Kings look at him and say, okay, can you get him for like the biannual exception? Can you give him a 2-year, $10 million contract and bring Precious back? The reason why I'm gonna bring him back is we saw it tonight. Number one, there was a moment where they panned to the sidelines and Precious has his arm around Neat Clifford, and he's literally coaching him up on the court. You can see him telling Neat Clifford, "Hey, you gotta keep attacking. You gotta keep attacking, and you're doing great. Don't worry about the misses. Just keep going." Right? And then you have this moment where, again, it was inadvertent, but Devin Carter went up for a shot. He gets fouled. He falls backwards. He slams into Precious, and Precious catches him. And it's this great photo op, which I'll use for one of the thumbnails here, and you'll see this picture. But I think it speaks everything about who Precious is. He's the guy who's quietly lifting up his teammates. He's also a really good person behind the scenes. He's in the locker room every single night. I've talked to him a bunch of times. Just a very good soul. And when you're trying to build culture and you're trying to build versatility and defensive minded rebounding and all of these things, he just checks so many of the boxes that we hear the standard or Scott Perry's pillars. He realistically, for a lot of it, he describes Precious Achiuwa. So here to Precious, who had a career night tonight, 29 points, 12 rebounds. I did not think we'd see a 29-point Precious Achiuwa night, but he was so good in the first half that like you knew I was already looking up his career highs like midway through the game, midway through like the second quarter, and you could see that he was going to have a big night. So, all right, we're going to step aside. When we come back, we're going to dive into 6 quick thoughts. Precious Achiuwa will be part of that as well. But yeah, speaking glowingly about Precious Achiuwa, we'll be right back. Welcome to the 5-Hour Energy Flavor Draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new ones like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, or Cotton Candy. There's something for everyone. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and I've got my number one pick for the 5-Hour Energy Flavor Draft. I'm taking cherry because I'm sort of a nuts and bolts guy. I'm good with cherry, but I also want to try this Confetti Craze. I want to try Fruity Rainbow. I want to try cotton candy if possible. Also, like 5-hour energy shots give you a boost with zero sugar, and they have a lot of upcoming flavor innovations planned. So find your new flavor. Uh, Go to 5-hour energy shots. They're available at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon, and load up. It's time. It's also time to talk about game time. There's nothing like being at an NBA arena. I've been at so many games. I don't even know what the total is now, but it's probably well over 1,000. The crowd, the energy, the moment, getting tickets, though, that part hasn't always been so simple. That's why Game Time has become the go to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs with the fans. Pull up the Game Time app, pick an upcoming game, and you can have tickets booked within minutes. You can see the seats, the view from your seat just right through the app, and everything feels quick, intuitive, and stress free from start to finish. There's also no hidden fees. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKED ON for $20 off your first purchase. That's LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today, and remember, it's gametime.co, not gametime.com. All right, let's get back into game action from tonight. The Sacramento Kings took care of the ball. First and foremost, that's the number one thing they did tonight. They had 4 turnovers. They had 2 turnovers in the first half. They didn't have a turnover until like 3 minutes left in the second quarter, and I started to feel really bad for Devin Carter because he actually had the first 2 turnovers, and then he had 3 of their 4 on the night. But as a player who had the ball in his hands and who played major minutes, I'm also kind of okay with the fact that he finished with a team high 3 turnovers. Again, 3 turnovers for Devin Carter, 1 turnover for Neat Clifford. Really, really impressive, especially when you consider the youth of the team tonight. So it's a huge point that I want to make before we dive into all of our 6 quick thoughts. The Kings rolled into Dallas. They knocked off the Mavs team. The final is 130-121. I also thought it would be closer than that. It looked like Dallas was going to make a late run. But got to be honest, I don't think that in crunch time that they were trying to win the game with the same, physicality and effort that the Kings were. Let's get into 6 quick thoughts, though. Number 1, this is an opportunity. The Kings needed length. They needed athleticism. They needed physicality early in the season when they were dealing with injuries. And Scott Perry, like, he found Precious Achiuwa off the free agent heap. And my goodness, this has been a true find. Again, you're not expecting him to go for 29 points and 12 rebounds every single night. That's not what you're hoping for. But what we have seen from Precious and what we might see here in the second half is a player that he's coming into his prime and he's figuring it out and he's becoming an extremely valuable player, whether it's for the Sacramento Kings or for it's one of the other 29 teams. I would say I would like to see him be with the Sacramento Kings because I do think he's taken on a leadership role. I think he's got a different understanding. He's been traded. He's bounced around from 3 teams on the East Coast. And all of a sudden he's settling in and he's trying to find an NBA home because that's what players do around this age. So big shout out to Precious, who I think had a phenomenal game, but also he's having a phenomenal season. And you're hoping that he can kind of be a guy who helps with the development of a Max Reno, that helps with the Dylan Cardwell, that helps with some of these players who are trying to come along and become true NBA players. And this is a guy with some experience with that, former first round pick who's making good right now. Let's get to number 2. and that is got downhill. Neat Clifford, he got another start. He looked confident from the jump. He was attacking the paint. He finished with, a really, really solid line of 13 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, and a block. He only had 1 turnover. He only had a couple of personal fouls. This was a really, really good building block game for a guy like Neek. I need him to hit more shots. But I love that he goes 6 of 18 from the field. Take 18 shots, man. There's no one else out there. If Keegan Murray was out there, I want him taking 18 shots and Neek taking 14 shots. But without Neek Clifford there, with DeMar DeRozan only taking 3 shots, like, man, let it fly. And that's what we're starting to see. Number 3 is keep building. Maxime Reynaud scored in double figures for the 10th time in his last 12 games. He also, over that stretch, he's averaging 9.7 rebounds per game. Um, yeah, he's just becoming like a very, very good NBA player. Tonight, he posted 22 points, 7 rebounds. He had a block. He's picking up more and more assists as we were going through the season. He's showing you more of who he is as a player. And, tonight he goes 8 of 13 from the field, 0 of 1 from 3, but he got to the free throw line 6 times. And again, that's about him being active and about him being part of what's happening. And, I think that, again, if we're talking about bright spots in an otherwise dismal season, the brightest spot is Max Reynaud this season. Let's get to number 4, and that is a good starting place. Devin Carter's season hasn't gone as planned. His career hasn't gone as planned. This is a former lottery pick. This is a guy who, without a shoulder injury, probably would have gone in the top 6 or 7 of his draft last year. And he's really struggled. And when he does get on the court, there's this weird thing that he does that it just feels so greedy. And tonight was one of the first games where I saw that go away. And again, I know they've had conversations with him. I've talked to people around the team. I do know that, like, they've pulled him aside and, like, this is your pathway forward. What is not your pathway forward is going out there and try to score 20 points every time and ignoring your team. If you're going to play the point guard position, which he is right now, it has great responsibility. And so I think this was, again, one of those games where you're seeing him. He finishes with 15.6 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals. It was just so much better. It's not even about the numbers. It's about watching him play and watching him be a better player. And so for me, super excited for what we saw from Devin Carter. This is a place that he should start from and he can build from, where I think a lot of the games this season, they're just him trying to get points, and that's not what the NBA is about. Let's get to number 5, which is showed up big. Daquan Plowden is getting a shot to earn his way into the NBA. And again, he's 27 years old, but he's barely played in the league. And the fact that he's on a 2-way contract tells you that he hasn't been part of a lot of the league over the last 5 or 6 years. And because 2-way contracts are only good for your first 3 years, or if you have an injury issue, you can get a 4th year, the Harry Giles rule, if you will. Tonight, he was just incredible. He started out shooting the ball well, so he goes 7 of 7 from the field, and he scores 19 points. That's great. But the 4 rebounds, he had a couple of putback jams that were unbelievable. He had a couple of leak outs that were unbelievable. And some of his 3-point shots, just like the game on let's see, Monday, earlier in the week, Sunday or Monday, whenever they beat Memphis, Daquan Plowden was big in that too. He hit 2 huge threes down the stretch, including one where he got a flagrant foul and got a 4-point play. So he's finding his way, and that's good. He's got to get stronger. He's got to understand the physicality of the NBA, but I do think that there's potential here for between 11 and 15 on your roster sort of 3-and-D guy. And so good for Daquan Plowden for having a breakout game. Our last quick thought tonight is signs of life. Killian Hayes is trying to make the best of a really tough situation. Being on a 10-day contract is not fun because you know that at any moment you can just be gone, and you're hoping for another 10 days. And even that's just extending, the inevitable. You are making money, which is good, But at the same time, you have such a limited opportunity to show who and what you are and what you can bring for a team. And I think Killian Hayes did a nice job of that tonight. He's doing something that I'm going to point out, and hopefully people see it. Like, again, the shot's not falling for him right now. He's got to get better at that end of the court. He's got to settle in. But his ability to grab a rebound or to get a ball from the inbounds on the, on the offensive side of the ball and then fire it ahead as an outlet pass is absolutely spectacular. In his 3 games with the Kings, he's done it like 4 or 5 times where he's got the Kings an easy transition bucket. And to me, that's something. He's got something you can build around. Again, he doesn't have a big breakout game tonight, but you got to be okay with, the limited playing time that he's getting, the 5.6 assists, 4 rebounds, and 18 minutes. To me, those are solid quality third point guard minutes, and hopefully he can build from there. All right. We're gonna wrap it up. Thanks for tuning in to Locked On Kings. Running a little bit long tonight. Make sure to jump on board with the Everydayer Club. If you never miss an episode, it's time to make it official. Join the Locked On Everydayer Club and get ad-free audio, access to our members only Discord, and more, all built for our most loyal fans. Go to lockedonkings.supercast.com or just go to the description below and click the Everydayer Club. We'll be back tomorrow no, we won't be back tomorrow. We'll be back later this weekend, maybe Monday. Thanks for tuning in.